Welcome back, I'm George, and in this video I'm going to show you the first things you need to do on your new OnePlus 13. I have customization settings, I have improvements for your user experience, and of course I have lots of interesting features that are disabled by default and that will make your phone feel and be 10 times better. So that being said, and without further ado, let's begin with the first thing that I always do when I get a new phone, which is to come to the settings, then scroll down to About Device, and then tap on Device Name, because as you can see, we can name the phone anything we want. We can name it Potato. This is the name that will show up when you message other people or when you connect your phone to other devices. So yeah, you can, as I said, name it anything you want, but be careful because everybody is going to see this name. Now, the second thing you should do with your OnePlus 13, also here in the settings, is to come to Homescreen and Lock Screen and then tap on Homescreen because you can choose between two kinds of home screen layouts, so to say. First off, you have Standard right here, which is essentially going to display all of your apps in your home screen. So as you can see, there is no way to access any kind of app library or app drawer. And then we have With Drawer, which is, like the name suggests, going to include an app drawer when you swipe up, where you can see all of your apps. Of course, you may be thinking that the standard option makes no sense because it displays less information. But, you know, some people don't want for others to see everything they have on the phone. And that's when standard becomes an actually interesting option. Now, also here on home screen and lock screen, you also have the option to change the home screen layout. In this case, we have 4:6 by default, but we can change it to 5:6 so we can display more apps. Once again, here on this menu, if you swipe down a little bit, you'll see a menu called Swipe Down on Home Screen, where you can choose whether you want to display the shelf, which is the option you get by default. So if you swipe down, you'll get this sort of a widget menu where you can see all of the widgets you have on your phone, or you can select, let's scroll down a bit, you can select to display your notifications when you swipe down, which is the option that I have and that I suggest you include. This is something that I have to be honest, drove me a little crazy when I got this phone because, as I said, by default, it is set to display the shelf. And I just was, losing my mind. Where are my notifications? Well, you can always swipe down from the top. But if you want to swipe from any point on your home screen, then you have to come here and select Notifications and Quick Settings. But anyways, moving on, let's come back here to the main settings page. Then scroll down to Notifications and Quick Settings, and then tap on Quick Settings, because there is actually two different ways to display the quick settings. There is the split mode that lets you swipe from the left to get your notifications and swipe from the right to get the quick settings. And then there is the classic mode, which essentially combines both so you can have access to, well, both your notifications and quick settings in the same page, which for some is actually more convenient. Now, that being said, what I'm sure will be the most useful customization you can do on this phone are the battery settings to improve your battery life and battery health. So let's come back here to the settings, to the main settings page, and swipe down to the battery menu right here. As you can see, the first option is the battery mode. In this case, we can go from high performance, which is essentially going to let the phone run at full blast at the expense, of course, of burning a lot of battery life, all the way down to super power saving mode, which is going to cut a lot of performance, but is also going to save a lot of battery life. And well, we also have balanced mode and power saving, which are somewhere in the middle. In this case, the default option is balanced mode, so it's the one that I always recommend you select. But if you don't do anything too demanding with your phone, maybe it's better you select power saving mode, because right now this phone has the fastest processor on the planet for a phone. So even with a reduced system performance, it is going to work pretty well. Now also here on the battery menu, we can tap on battery health, and swipe down to choose between smart charging or charging limit. Now, there is a very big difference between the two. Smart charging is essentially going to time the percentage of charge it gets throughout the night, so it optimizes the battery a little bit better. And charging limit is going to limit the amount of battery percentage you can have, up to 80%. So it is essentially going to give you less battery life. In my opinion, smart charging is the way to go, unless you plan on using your phone for a very, very, very long time. Now, also here on the battery menu, we can tap on charging settings, where I suggest you turn on smart rapid charging, which essentially enables super fast charging. So you can go from 0 to 100 in 36 minutes. Absolutely insane. But even better, also here on charging settings, we actually have an option called reverse wireless charging, which, like the name suggests, is going to let you charge another phone with your OnePlus 13. So let me see if I can show you with my trusty iPhone right here. There it is, pretty smooth. Automatically start charging, although I suggest you're careful with this feature because it's not really intended to be used all the time. It's more for an emergency where another person's phone is almost dying and your phone has a lot of battery life. Well, then you can share a little bit of yours with this method. But anyways, that being said, and speaking of battery life, I want to show you my favorite accessory for the OnePlus 13. This right here is the SharkGeek 140 battery bank, and it is absolutely awesome. First off, it matches the 100-watt battery capacity of the OnePlus 13, so you can charge at full speed on the go, which is, as I said earlier, 36 minutes from 0 to 100. Now, as you can see here, it also has dual charging, so you can charge another device while you charge the OnePlus 13 at full speed. And it is powered by 4 advanced Samsung batteries, giving you 1.5 times longer battery life than its predecessor. Now, this is a sponsored segment, but I mean what I say. This is the perfect companion for the OnePlus 13. If you want to get it, of course, I will leave a link down below in the description. And once again, I recommend you do. I really believe this is the best accessory for this phone. But anyways, that being said, let's come back here to the main settings page because there's a lot more customization we can do on this phone. Next up, I suggest we come all the way to the bottom to System and Update, and we tap on System Navigation because, like with many Android phones, we have 2 different ways to navigate around the device. First off, we have buttons, which is, well, the traditional button layout where we can go back, we can go home, and we can access the multitasking. Even, by the way, with the option to invert the buttons with the older layout. And then we have gestures, which, well, is the option that I always recommend because it essentially makes things feel faster and more fluid. You can swipe from the left to go back, you can swipe from the bottom to go home, and then you can swipe and hold to access the multitasking. Now, that being said, and once again back here to the main settings page, if we tap on Wallpapers and Style and swipe to the bottom, you'll see that there is an option to customize the fingerprint animation. In this case, we get a melodic stream by default, which looks like this. I'm not really sure if you can see it on video, but we have a bunch more options. My favorite in this case is Holo. Out of all of the other options, I've tried all of them. This one is also the most visual out of, the other ones. There's a bunch here that are so small that you can't really see them when you're covering with your finger, but you can always come here and try them all, see which one looks better. And well, also here on Wallpapers and Style, you can customize the edge lighting. On this phone, when you get a notification, you get this little bars of light on the sides of the phone that are blue by default, but that you can make red or yellow, or, well, that's it. You can make them blue, red, or yellow. But anyways, those were a lot of settings. Let me show you something that's not on the settings page. One of the coolest features on the OnePlus 13 is that you can actually rename your apps to anything you want. You just have to tap and hold on the app, then tap on edit, and then tap on the name to then just include any other name you want. You can call it potato. And of course, well, this is not something you're meant to do with every single app. It could get really confusing, but for some specific apps, this is actually a very interesting feature. Now, that being said, and also here on the home screen, if we tap and hold on an empty space of the screen, you'll see we get this menu with all of the customization options for the home screen. In this case, we can tap on wallpapers to then choose a wallpaper from the default ones or from your gallery. If we then tap on icons, we can actually choose a different style for the icons. As you can see, we have pebble, we have material, we have shadow, we have radiance, we have classic, each one giving every single one of your icons a specific visual style. Then you can also change the size of your icons with this bar, and you can choose whether you display the name of the apps at the bottom. But that being said, what's probably my favorite feature in this editing menu for the home screen is the transitions menu, where we can choose different transitions for, well, the swiping animations on the home screen. As you can see, we get the default one, which is, well, pretty boring, the basic one. But we can also tap on roll, we can tap on cube, we can tap on flip. It essentially feels like a plugin you would install from the App Store and will have to tweak with a separate app with ads and all that stuff that's just embedded on the phone, making it a lot easier for, well, everybody to enjoy this kind of customization. And it is not usual to see on a phone like this, so it's a very nice touch. But anyways, that being said, let's come back here to the main settings page. Then swipe down to sounds and vibrations, and then swipe down to, where can I find it? It's all the way at the bottom, Holo audio. This is one of those underrated features that people think is kind of a gimmick, but it's, well, actually pretty awesome. The way it works is once you enable it, the phone is going to display different sounds from different positions around you, because since it has stereo speakers, it can create a feeling of, well, placement in space for every specific audio source. Of course, it is not something functional, it is not going to be life-changing, but when it comes to your user experience, it's actually pretty nice. Now, also here on sounds and vibrations, you'll find an option called clear voice, which for some unknown reason comes disabled by default. And that will essentially, like the name suggests, clean your voice when there are noises around you. So when you are making phone calls or video phone calls or Instagram, in this case, it is the only third-party app that's supported, the phone will essentially, using AI, delete the background noises so you can sound better. But anyways, once again, let's come back here to the main settings page, then swipe down to accessibility and convenience, and then tap on Smart Sidebar, because this is one of those features that I believe everybody should turn on their phone. Once you turn on Smart Sidebar, you'll see that there is a sidebar on the right side of the phone that you can swipe out to reveal your most used apps. In this case, of course, it will display default apps, not your most used apps, but you can always come here to edit and select the apps you use most, so you don't have to come back to the home screen and look for them, making your phone using experience a lot faster. Now, also here on accessibility and convenience, a little bit below, you'll find a gloves mode, which, like the name suggests, will essentially let you use the phone while using gloves. Of course, if they are very thick skiing gloves, it is probably not going to work, but it is going to increase the chances of you being able to use the phone comfortably when wearing gloves. Now, that said, on top of the gloves mode, there is what's probably my favorite accessibility feature on this phone, which is the one-handed mode. Once you enable it, you'll be able to swipe down like this to bring everything on your display to the bottom half. And I know it is not a revolutionary feature. It's been available on many phones for a while. But when you're using a very big phone like the OnePlus 13, it becomes a must. I mean, if you want to use your phone with one hand when walking around in your house or the street, you are going to feel a lot more confident with this feature than having to, make crazy hand gymnastics to reach the top of the phone, risking dropping it on the floor. Now, also here on accessibility and convenience, if you tap on gestures and motions, and then you tap on air gestures and turn it on, you'll be able to control some actions on your phone using your hand, as you can see in this video right here. First off, you can hold the back of your hand 20 to 40 centimeters from the front camera with your fingerprints pointed down. And then when a prompt appears at the top of your screen, a phone call prompt, you can then flick your hand up to answer the call. And then as you can see, we can also mute calls by holding our palm 20 to 40 centimeters from the front camera with your fingertips pointed up. When the prompt appears at the top of the screen, you can keep your hand still for 1.5 seconds to mute the call. But anyways, I'm going to make a little pause here because I forgot to talk about one of my favorite features on this phone. So we have to come back here to the home screen and lock screen menu and then tap on icon pull down gesture. This is incredible. When this feature is enabled, we will be able to quickly swipe down every icon that's on top of the phone and without lifting the finger, flick through the different icons and then lift up to open the selected app. It makes clicking and opening apps that are on top of the phone 50,000 times easier. It is actually a great rival to the swipe down mode where you can bring everything down. It's trying to do the same thing. Of course, in this case, it only works on the home screen. That's why I suggest you also enable this mode. But for the home screen, this is absolutely incredible and it's really fast. But anyways, that being said, let's come back here to the home screen because I want to show you how to make app combinations. If you swipe down and hold and access the multitasking, you'll see that there are 3 dots at the top of every app. If you tap on those 3 dots, you'll see that the first options are floating window and split screen. If we tap on split screen, you'll see that we essentially lift the app up with the phone then prompting us to open a different app. So let's do that. Let's open the weather. And just like that, automatically the phone is going to create a split screen mode where we can see, in this case, the calculator and the weather. Well, of course, you can do this with every app combination you want. Now, I'm pretty sure you already knew about the ability to create app combinations, but you probably didn't know that you can actually save those app combinations. If you tap on the middle bar right here and then tap on Save as App Group, you'll be able to automatically save that app combination to your home screen. So you can actually delete the app combo from your multitasking and move on and do other stuff, and then quickly come back to the same setup, just like that. And well, even better, you can also add that app combination to your sidebar. It's actually as simple as including any other app. You just have to tap on Edit, then swipe to the bottom, and there you'll see your app combinations, and you just add it to the bar and hit on Done, just like that. But I have to say though, my favorite multitasking mode is not the split screen mode. It is actually to create, let me show you with, in this case, notes. It is actually to create a floating window like this, then tap on the 3 dots and minimize, and then open a different app. Because in this case, we essentially get a full screen mode while being able to use both apps at the same time. So you can always tap here and access the notes and write something real quick. And then with 2 taps, tuck it away again so you can keep working on, well, the other app. But anyways, that being said, let's come back here once again to the settings page, then swipe down to display and brightness and customize some relatively important settings. Of course, here you have your traditional display settings. You can choose between light mode and dark mode. You can change the brightness. You can also select between manual and automatic brightness. Then you also have some very underrated features like screen color mode, which is going to give you the iPhone style colors or the vivid Samsung style colors. You then have eye comfort and sleep, which is going to reduce the blue lights on your display so it's easier on the eye, especially at night. This is a really, really nice feature for those of you who use your phone at night and you have some issues falling asleep. It even gives you the option to customize the color temperature on the phone so you can reduce the blue lights even further. Then, of course, you also have the ability to change the font and the display size. Very important, you can also change the auto screen off from 15, I think it's 30 seconds by default, which is pretty low, all the way up to 30 minutes. In this case, I suggest you set it at 10 or 30 minutes for the ideal experience. By the way, I forgot to disable the eye comfort shield. I'm sorry. Now, also here on the display and brightness settings, you can change the screen resolution, which, believe it or not, comes defaulted at standard, which is not the highest resolution for this phone. And considering it has a very, very high capacity battery, I believe you should probably set it to high and get much sharper visuals. You're spending a lot of money on this phone, you probably want to take advantage of all those premium features. And well, same goes for the screen refresh rate, which by default comes set to auto select, which goes from 1 Hz to 120 depending on what you're doing. You can then tap on standard at 60 Hz to save battery life. And then if you are a power user, you can always tap on high, and every single app on the phone and everything you do will be at a fixed 120 Hz for maximum fluidity all the time. You can even, here at the bottom, select the specific refresh rate for each app. So you can set the calculator to run at 120 Hz, which makes absolutely no sense, but you can do it. In my opinion, in this case, I believe the default option, auto select, is the best one. You get 120 Hz when it's noticeable, and then when it's not, it lowers the refresh rate to save battery life. But anyways, that being said, I believe those are the most important things you need to do on this phone. Well, there's actually something else. You can reduce or increase the size of your folders, as you can see, by tapping and holding and then tapping on enlarge, so you can swipe between the apps and tap on the apps without having to open the folders. I forgot to talk about it, and it's pretty interesting. But anyways, yeah, that's about it. Those are all of the most important things you need to change, customize on this phone. If you have any questions regarding anything that I said in this video, please tell me in the comments. And for everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again very soon. Peace.